The more you do for a potted cucumber, the faster it dies.
That sounds wrong.
Every cucumber video out there tells you to do more. More fertilizer, more pruning, more product. More little must-do steps until your simple patio plant somehow becomes a part-time job. I followed that advice for 2 seasons and got bitter fruit, yellow leaves, and vines that gave up before August. Then I stripped everything down to 1 pot, 1 plant, and 1 daily routine that takes 60 seconds. And the cucumbers were better than anything I grew when I was trying hard. Put your zone in the comments. Where you live changes how cucumbers behave, and I want to see who is growing where. So why do most potted cucumbers never make it past July? Most people do not fail at growing cucumbers. They fail at starting. You open YouTube. You search cucumbers in pots. The first video gives you 14 tips. The second gives you 9 steps and a shopping list with items you have never heard of. By the third video, you are taking notes on soil pH, calcium supplements, pollination brushes, and 3 different kinds of fertilizer. You look at the notepad. You look at the empty pot on your patio. You close the laptop. The pot sits there all summer. I have seen this happen over and over. Not because container cucumbers are hard, they are not, but because the guides turn a simple plant into a semester-long course. 14 tips sounds helpful until you realize that each tip comes with 2 products to buy and 1 more thing to worry about. By the time you are done researching, you have spent more time watching videos than it would have taken to actually grow the cucumber. And every season you skip is another season you are buying cucumbers at the grocery store instead of picking them off the setup you already paid for. Think about that for a second. So here is what this video does differently. I am not giving you 14 tips. I am giving you 1 setup. You will finish it in a single afternoon. After that, the only thing you have to do each day takes 60 seconds. I timed it. That is the trade. 1 afternoon of setup, then 60 seconds a day for the rest of the summer. And it starts with the seed you grab off the rack. The laziest cucumber setup starts with a lazy variety. Not every seed on the rack is built for a pot. If you have been scrolling past cucumber seeds at the store because you do not know which one to pick, this is your answer. 3 varieties, 3 levels of lazy. Pick the one that fits your space and move on. Diva. If you want the most cucumbers from 1 plant, this is it. Diva is parthenocarpic. That means the plant sets fruit on its own without pollination. No bees required. No need for you to grab a cotton swab and play matchmaker between flowers. The plant just makes cucumbers. It won an All-America Selections Award back in 2002, and it holds up against powdery mildew, downy mildew, and scab. Tough plant. You are looking at 58 days from seed to harvest, with sweet, seedless fruit at 6 to 8 inches. Diva is a vining type, so it needs a trellis. I will show you how to set one up in 5 minutes later in this video. Give it a 10-gallon pot and a 5-foot support, and 1 plant will outproduce most bush varieties without breaking a sweat. Zones 3 through 11. You avoid the pollination headache before it starts. You lower the odds of bitter fruit and mildew problems instead of trying to fix them later. If your space is tight, a small balcony or a narrow patio, Patio Snacker is the pick. Compact hybrid. Vines stay between 3 and 5 feet. Ready in 50 to 55 days from transplant. Same size fruit as Diva, 6 to 8 inches, non-bitter, and it handles heat better than most. A 7 to 10-gallon pot with a small cage or short trellis is all it needs. Zones 3 through 11. And if you want the absolute smallest setup possible, no trellis, no cage, nothing. Start with Spacemaster. True bush type. Tops out at 2 to 3 feet. Fits in a 5-gallon pot. 60 days to harvest, and the fruit comes in at 7 to 8 inches. You do not build anything. You do not support anything. You just plant it, and pick. I put all three next to each other, and it came down to this. Diva if you want the most fruit, Spacemaster if you want zero support structure, Patio Snacker if you want something in between. Whichever you choose, sow seeds half an inch deep once your soil hits 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Or buy a transplant from the garden center 2 to 3 weeks after your last frost date and skip the waiting. Fair warning, this tip has one condition. If you are in zone 9 or warmer and you are planting in June or July, wait. Cucumber plants shut down when daytime temps stay above 95 degrees Fahrenheit for weeks straight. In the deep south or the desert southwest, plant in early spring or early fall. Midsummer heat will stall any variety, no matter what the packet says. You have the right seed. Now it needs a home. I used to spend 20 minutes in the garden center comparing soil bags, reading the backs, Googling ingredients on my phone, putting one bag in the cart, then swapping it for another. Now I grab one and leave. Because the recipe is simpler than anyone makes it sound. But first, the container. If you picked Diva or Patio Snacker, get a 10-gallon fabric grow bag. If you went with Spacemaster, a 5-gallon pot or bag is enough. 1 plant per bag, not 2, not 3. 1. Why fabric? Fabric bags drain on their own. No drilling holes, no gravel at the bottom. And the roots do something useful inside them. When a root tip hits the fabric wall, it meets open air and stops growing outward. Instead of circling the pot and strangling itself, the plant sends out new branches from deeper inside. You end up with a thick, dense root system that pulls water and nutrients from every direction. It is like the difference between one deep taproot and a full underground net. The net wins. And at the end of the season, you fold the bag flat and store it in a drawer. Use it again next year. Now the soil. If you have ever stood in the garden center staring at 6 different bags wondering which one is right, here is the answer. Potting mix. Not garden soil, not topsoil, not raised bed mix. Grab the one that says potting mix and go home. Do not use garden soil or topsoil in a container. It compacts and chokes the roots. The mix is half potting mix, half finished compost. Pour both into the bag, stir them together, and add slow-release granular fertilizer according to the directions on the package. That fertilizer feeds the plant for weeks without you doing anything extra. Fill the bag. Plant your seedling, or drop your seed, half an inch deep. Water it in. Done. No perlite, no vermiculite, no 5-ingredient recipe from a gardening forum. Half potting mix, half compost, slow-release fertilizer. That is enough. Your plant is in the right soil, inside the right bag. 2 more steps, and your hands are free for the rest of the summer. 2 more things, and your setup is done for the summer. Both take less than 5 minutes. First, the trellis. If you planted Diva or Patio Snacker, use a wire cage. Or push 3 bamboo stakes into the bag, 4 to 5 feet tall, and tie the tops together with twine, teepee shape. That is it. The cucumber vine grows tendrils that grab onto whatever is nearby. Within a few days, the plant attaches itself and starts climbing. You do not need to tie it up every week. You do not need to check the knots. The vine does the work. If you picked Spacemaster, skip this step entirely. Bush type. No trellis needed. Second, mulch. Spread 2 to 3 inches of straw or shredded leaves on the soil surface inside the bag. The mulch holds moisture in, which means you water less often. And leaves from your yard are free. You already have them. For the money. Nothing else comes close. A wire cage lasts for years. So do 3 bamboo stakes. Straw breaks down into compost you can use next season. Leaves cost 0. Setup done. From here, you have exactly one job. If this already saved you from overcomplicating your cucumber setup, subscribe. Same kind of detail, every video, no fluff. So, after all that, how much work is left? I timed it. Everything before this point was a one-time setup, a single afternoon of work. From here on, you have exactly one job. And I timed it. It takes 60 seconds. 5 seconds. Walk to the pot. Push your finger about 1 inch into the soil. If it is damp, you are done for the day. Walk away. If it is dry, 40 to 50 seconds. Pick up the watering can and pour slowly, not a fast splash across the top. A slow, steady pour that lets the water sink all the way down through the mix. Keep pouring until you see it drip out of the bottom of the bag. That tells you the entire root zone got a drink, not just the surface. 5 to 10 seconds. Look up at the vine. Any cucumber longer than your hand? Cut the stem with scissors. Do not yank it off the vine. Drop it in the kitchen. Done. 60 seconds. Back inside. I almost left this out because it felt too simple, but that is the point. If your daily gardening routine takes longer than heating up a cup of coffee, you are overcomplicating it. Keep the water steady and the fruit stays sweet. Let the soil swing between bone dry and soaked, and the cucumbers turn bitter. That is the whole story. Fabric bags dry out faster than plastic pots. On days above 90 degrees Fahrenheit, you may need to water in the morning and again in the late afternoon. That is 60 seconds twice instead of once. Now, feeding. You already mixed slow-release fertilizer into the soil back in the setup step. That handles the first stretch. Once the plant starts flowering, add a diluted liquid fertilizer every 2 weeks. Pick one where the last number on the label is higher than the first. That is potassium. And potassium pushes fruit production. Too much nitrogen. The first number gives you a big green bush with very few cucumbers. 30 seconds every 2 weeks. Done. I have talked to gardeners who spend 45 minutes every evening fussing with their pots, adjusting, feeding, spraying, rotating. Their cucumbers looked the same as mine. The difference was I was back inside in a minute. I could hype this up, but here is the one trade-off. If you leave town for 3 or 4 days in July with nobody to water, the plant will stress. A drip line on a battery-operated timer takes the job off your hands completely. Or text your neighbor. But know that going in. The one thing this setup asks of you is consistency, not effort, just showing up. 60 seconds a day of steady water, and the plant handles the rest. Your only other job is knowing when to pick. Here is the one place where doing more actually helps you. Pick your cucumbers when they hit 6 to 8 inches. Use scissors or a sharp knife and cut the stem. Do not pull or twist the fruit off the vine. A clean cut keeps the plant healthy. If you have been letting cucumbers grow until they are the size of a water bottle, you have been telling the plant its job is done. When a fruit gets too large, the seeds inside start to mature. The plant shifts all its energy to finishing those seeds and stops making new flowers. Pick them small and it keeps working. Pick them late and it shuts down. Once the plant starts producing, check every 2 to 3 days. Cucumbers grow fast. A fruit that looks small today can be oversized by the weekend. One more thing before you eat. Trim about 1 inch off the stem end. If there is any bitterness in the fruit at all, that is where it concentrates. Cut it off, toss it, eat the rest. Most of these start producing around 50 to 60 days, depending on the variety and whether you start from seed or transplant. After that, the plant keeps producing straight through summer until the weather cools. The savings are not in buying one magic product. The savings are in not buying 10 products you never needed. 1 afternoon to set it up. 60 seconds a day to keep it going. Most of your time as a gardener is standing on the patio with a cup of coffee, watching a vine climb a stick. That is not a chore. That is a break. The best garden is not the one with the most plants or the fanciest raised beds. The best garden is the one you actually keep up with. 1 pot, 1 plant, 60 seconds. That is enough. Tell me in the comments. Are you going with Diva, Patio Snacker, or Spacemaster? And what zone are you in? And think of that one friend who keeps saying they want to grow something but never starts because it sounds like too much work. The one who bought a pot last spring and it is still sitting empty on the patio? Send them this video. No message needed, just the link.